Alright, here we are again. It's been a couple of weeks. I've been away for 1 week. Can't be bothered for a couple more. Why? Well, this is why. This is why. This is why. Nothing quite like a 8.5% drop in silver when you're expecting a breakout, and you're so convinced you buy under this wick, you buy under this wick, you put your stop down here, and then you get fucking ran, and your account is basically blown up. But there we go. You've got to laugh. Again, just too certain in my own mind about what was going to happen, and there we go. We paid the price, but we're refueled and ready to go. Basically blown. Well, there was a bit left in there. There was just a little bit. And I've been buying around these lows. Not this one, but around here. Close some out here. We've come back down. I've bought some more down here, and my stops are slightly green. Because now it looks like we're in for a better chance of it actually running up and out and breaking above 30. We've got a head, a left shoulder, right shoulder, but I think it's going to be head and shoulders that breaks up, not a head and shoulders that breaks down. We're between this fib and this fib. We wrote underneath and tested this buying area again here. We've got a little wick, and then if we look at our indicators, we're seeing reasonably substantial positive divergences coming in, and this decline beginning from the 5th of July, if we look, these movement on the daily has stayed blue, has stayed above zero. You know, these lows are fairly close together, but you can see we're definitely getting upwards movements. On these indicators anyway, and then we had a reasonable close on the shorter time frames. The close does look a bit more dubious, and we come into this zone here between these two black horizontal lines, and sort of turned down to the end. So it's the look this has to it is a bit like this is going to happen. It does look a bit like that to me, but who knows? In any case, my stops are green, but I'm thinking silver. It's going to be go time soon. Although the disconnect from bonds is interesting in precious metals at the moment. I mean, all the way back in March, April, May, into May, I was calling for bonds to move up again, and look at what we've had from the lows. Or let's choose this pivot midpoint area here, up nearly 3%. Bond prices on the CCF of bonds, of American bonds. See, it's markets in tea and also markets in vape. I'm hoping that vaping CBD will chill me out enough that I'll be able to trade in a more rational and zombified fashion. I've got this what flavour is it? Like orange marijuana flavour. Broad spectrum. It's really good, and it definitely has an effect, and it tastes delicious. And if as long as you don't overdo it, because then you will just feel stoned. People say it doesn't have any effect, but I took like 200 vapes. When I first got this stuff, I did like 200 vapes in an evening, and I felt like I was on another planet. So it definitely does something. But hopefully it will chill out my trading. Hope we might see a potential backtest to this channel line. But in any case, bonds, up. We're not seeing much of a reaction in metals because the dollar has also been going up. And if we look on the 4 hour, we've come into, that's an old segment, But you can see the, you know, this is the supply zone, this is the bit above it, and then we're getting up into here. And we entered that area on very clear negative divergences, and this doesn't really, it could be 1, 2, it could be impulse retrace, you could argue that's the positive reversal, but on the whole I'm going to say it doesn't look very good. I don't think it looks very good. I know some people are eyeing up here. That's a 94, 95 area. It's not impossible, but I think it could be enough. It could be done. It could be cooked here. It's a good place for it to be cooked. You know, we're just underneath this high here. We're in line with this fib. All kinds of negative divergence. Ease of movement has turned red on the daily. On the 4 hour, ignore the ruler lines. You can see, looks like, get rid of the ruler. It's like a sort of wedge, and it could be a wedge breakdown, I think. And that would make a lot of sense. That would look good here, from like a charting perspective. So, that does give us a little bit more reason to continue to suicidally and maniacally try and go long on silver. Yeah, I mean, if we bounce along this for a little bit and then go up, that'll be alright, but we need to see pretty much pronto action. Let's take a look at some other things. Well, should we look at the longer time frames? Yeah, let's go on. So here we go. Here's the weekly. I think I'm going to give up on these lines. So this was my original inverse head, shoulder to shoulder, but it's dissipated and just wiggling around in a very nondescript way. Similarly, this huge. You could still argue this is forming negative reversals. And as good as the daily and the 4 hour looks, the issue is this 50% fib. This is the big, thick, long-term one. I spoke about this before when we were over it, how that was a cause for optimism. Now we're under it. It's less of a cause of an optimism. This could be a back test, and then we could be getting a move down. Why not a move down back here to this fib, to the next long-term fib level at 21.20 something, if that's a back test, because it would be a pretty beautiful back test. That's the concern. You see that on the daily, there it is. The fact that 25.90 is going to be everything. It's going to look terrible if we go under 25.90 as anything other than like a little cheeky wick. Here's my take. Euro, as always, start on the daily. Yeah, and again, there's that sort of wedging action. Inverse to the dollar, and there was a similar thing going on in silver. There was a wedging action that led to the move up that we saw the last couple of days. So we're seeing these correlating patterns across instruments. And ease of movement, equal lows in this RSI of OBV. Potentially positive. Should we zoom out? And that's just on the daily. There it is. Zoom out, weekly. So that was the pivot zone. It's this box, it was a high, it was dojis, under, over, back into. You want to see it take off really and target up here, above these highs from February of 2018. Would be the next thing I think from a weekly sort of perspective. And again, if that's going to happen, that's going to be bad for the dollar, good for anti-dollar assets. The Nasdaq, look at this beautiful tag of the 14 moving averages and this weekly line here. And yeah, I mean, I keep doing it to myself. I keep sitting there in silver and seeing these reversals that, you know, some of the poor bears on Twitter keep getting very excited about, and especially if you go down to the lower time frames. I mean, just look at the state of it. I mean, who wouldn't have been getting in here? You know, but again, I'm tying myself up for better or worse. I seem to have committed to it. This silver trade. There's the 30-minute view. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't have been getting in there? Bullish on market, Sam. I'm no longer trading. FTSE, again, reversal of this line. Kind of tapping back into this zone, but not quite. Chop fest. Hideous chop fest. Hate the FTSE. We've done bonds, we've looked at the dollar. Daily. Again, it'd be a lovely spot for it to reverse. Weekly. Could go either way. I would imagine over 92.40, and it might look like it will go up higher. Then yeah, you would be targeting that 94 and 95 area between this low and this high, or looking at this fib channel line here. So we're still, for this foreseeable future, at some sort of a turning point, I suppose. Let's have a bit more of the vape. That's what you want to hear, isn't it? Ooh. Deep, big deep vape voice. Nearly choking. Trying to talk to you here. I'll talk to myself. Here's Bitcoin. We always look at Bitcoin. I've not really been keeping so up to date on this. Remember, this was the key line. If I said under here, sell. It's been finding support here. That line's a goner, basically. This line is still somewhat important. Yeah, and again, look at all this confluence around here. This pink line is a duplicate of this pink line. There's getting a lot of lines on there, I know. If these lows don't hold, in fact, I'm going to say if this low doesn't hold, we've come into this area so many times, and we have very nearly taken, actually we have taken that wick. If this low at 32,120 fails, we're coming down to 24,000. We're coming down to 19,000. That's my big prediction. We go on lower time frame, 4 hour. Let's make this a little bit smaller. That's the issue with having indicators when they start taking up all this bloody room on your screen. I'm trying to keep myself to 2. Ideally, I'd have 1. Ideally, I'd have none, but there you go. A little bit of a crutch, and I do find them genuinely useful. Yeah, you can see we're at this pivot line on the daily. Let's cut through all this action here. I would sell. You know, it's gonna, because you're at such a precise resistance level. I would throw on a few cheeky sells, just to see what happens. Who knows? Maybe this is some sort of momentous low, and it's going to go to 100k now. Who knows? But you're at resistance, and what do you do at resistance? You don't buy. It's all about following rules, which I didn't obviously do in silver because I was just so excited, and we're breaking out, and then you get shots on, you know. So that's it. So we'll see if this turning point we're at is good for anti-dollar or good for dollar, and we'll see if vaping myself into a vegetative state of zonked out chillness improves my trading. So that's it for this week. Have a good one.